deep in the heart of Texas. Now the sage in bloom is like perfume. Deep in the heart of Texas, it reminds me of the one I love. Deep in the heart of Texas. Deep in the heart of Texas, and the rabbits rush around the brush. Deep in the heart of Texas. Now the cowboys cry, yippee-yi, deep in the heart of Texas, and the doggies bawl and bawl and bawl, deep in the heart of Texas. Now the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. They remind me of the one I love, deep in the heart of Texas. Hi, we are the Lennox Mountain String Band. You have never seen us all together in this configuration before. And we're doing Western songs, cowboy Western. And it's called Pioneer Day 1847 because a couple months ago we played at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for their Pioneer Day, and it celebrates the Mormon pioneers entering the Salt Lake Valley in 1847. Most of them did not go through Texas. 500 of them did, and we'll tell you the story about that after we do the next song. There's a yellow rose in Texas that I am going to see. Nobody else could miss her, not half as much as me. For she cried so when I left her, almost broke my heart. From the yellow rose in Texas, I never more shall part. She's the sweetest little rosebud that Texas ever knew. Her eyes, they shine like diamonds, they sparkle like the dew. You may talk about your Clementine and sing of Rosalie, but the yellow rose in Texas is the only girl for me. When the Rio Grande is flowing and the starry skies are bright, I'll walk along the river in the quiet of the night. I remember when I left her so many years ago. Yellow rose in Texas, I never more shall go. She's the sweetest little rosebud Texas ever knew. Her eyes, they shine like diamonds, they sparkle like the dew. You may talk about your Clementine, sing of Rosalie. Yellow rose in Texas is the only girl for me. Yellow rose in Texas. Well, what was going on in terms of the passage west for the Latter-day Saints, that some of them went through Texas? There was a thing called the Mormon Battalion, and 500 men enlisted in the Army. And they would only do it, I found, after Brigham Young told them they wouldn't have to fight in the Mexican War. So they did that. They went through Texas. They ended up in California, where they were mustered out. Actually, 60 of them re-enlisted, and most of them went back to Salt Lake City then. But 6 of them were at Sutter's Mill when gold was found. The gold rush started. And that's what this next song is about, a gold miner's daughter called Clementine. In a canyon, in a cavern, excavating for a mine, dwelt a miner, 49er, and his daughter Clementine. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine, you are lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine. She was like a fairy, and her shoes were number 9, wearing boxes without topses, sandals were for Clementine. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine, you are lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine. Drove her ducklings to the water every morning just at 9. Stubbed her toe upon a splinter, fell into the foaming brine. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine, you are lost and gone forever, dreadful sorry Clementine. Ah, Clementine. Well, sometimes mining was dangerous, especially if you were trying to find gold in some of the stream beds that ran around in the desert. And if you ran out of water out there in the West, you were in bad shape. And that's what this next song is about. It's about a prospector and his mule this time. We know the mule's name was Dan. We don't know the prospector's name. It's called Cool Water. All day I face the barren ways without the taste of water. Cool water. Old Dan and I, our throats burn dry with souls that cry for water. Nights are cool and I'm a fool, each star a pool of water, cool water. But with the dawn we'll wake and yawn and carry on for water. The burning sands with water. Oh, Dan, can't you see that big green tree? Water running free, and it's waiting there for you and me to see. It's water, water, water. plowing for its water. Like me, I guess he'd like to rest and end the quest for water. Clear water. Now the shadows sway and seem to say, tonight we'll pray for shows us where there's water. Clear water. Cool water, and they found it, and they prayed, and they found it. Good idea. Well, out there in the desert, you can see things that aren't there, and they're called mirages. I have seen it a few times crossing the desert with the sun on the road, and it looks like it's water. But this next song could be a mirage, or it could be something else. It's called Ghost Riders in the Sky. An old cowpoke went riding out one dark and windy day, and on a ridge he rested as he went along his way. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw, plowing through the ragged sky and up a cloudy draw. Yippee-i-oh, yippee-i-hey. Ghost riders in the sky. Their faces gaunt, their eyes are blurred, their shirts all soaked with sweat. They're riding hard to catch that herd, but they ain't caught it yet. For they got to ride forever on that range up in the sky. One horse is snorting fire as the ride on hear their cry. Yippee-i-oh, yippee-i-hey. Ghost riders in the sky. Loped on by him, he heard one call his name. If you want to save your soul from hell, riding on our range. Cowboy, change your way today, or with us you will ride, trying to catch the devil's herd across these endless skies. Yippee-i-oh, Ghost riders Ghost Riders. What would you do, Jay, if someone came back from the other side and told you to change your ways?
I'd see a psychiatrist. No. No, you'd probably have to change them right away.
Yeah?
Yeah, it would be a hint that you couldn't deny.
Yes. Well, these Mormon pioneers were not just religious people. They were patriotic in that they believed very much in the Constitution. And this next song was written in the early 1860s during a civil war. It is the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He has loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I have read his righteous statement by the dim and flaring lamps. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. This song is actually a march. It isn't a song. It was written in 1896. That would be 50 years after the pioneers started out west. John Philip Sousa wrote it, The Stars and Stripes Forever, and he was asked, whatever inspired you to do that? And he said, God told me to. Well, this ends the musical part of the show, but I was fortunate to find actually two descendants of those pioneers in 1847, and they are filmed prearranged at a different time, but you're going to hear from them now as to what their connection was and what they feel about it. Well, I have with me now two descendants of those Mormon pioneers that we talked about. Elder Funder over here on my right.
Hi.
Elder Carl Lindsay on the left. And I'm going to ask them a few questions about, partly about their descendancy from these pioneers. So, Elder Funder, tell me how you're connected to the 1847 troop.
Well, so most of my ancestors are actually from here in New England. A lot of them are, mainly New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Vermont. And they joined the church, and after the prophet Joseph Smith died and the pioneers went west, they all went with them. One of the biggest, and I would say the most famous ancestor of mine, his name is Milo Appleton Harmony. And he was the one who, along with Orson Pratt, fabricated and everything, the first odometer.
Wow. So you have a direct descendancy there, and none of them left the church in your line?
Nope. No one did.
Yes, some of them did after they went out west, but okay. Well, that's the first question. Now, the second question I want to ask you is, why did you come out here? These guys are 19 years old. This is not what typical 19-year-olds do today. This is also a time when people are very selfish and individualistic, and these guys are doing service for 2 years. Tell me, what was your motive in coming?
Well, my first motive when I first started my mission was because my dad did it. And I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps because he was kind of my idol growing up. But now that I'm actually out here serving and I'm out here doing this work, I've kind of fallen in love with it. Just being able to help other people and serve Jesus Christ in the same way and serve God and just see how much I can impact people's lives. And I love doing it. I've never been happier.
And it's more than just preaching the gospel. You guys do a lot of physical work to help people.
Yeah, it's a mix. We do both. And however we're doing it, it's still affecting people in a good way.
Very good. Now, let me ask Elder Carl Lindsay the same questions. What is your line of descent?
My line actually goes through Joseph Fielding Smith. He was the son of Hiram Smith, who was the prophet Joseph Smith's brother, and he came across the plains with his family, and he was actually the grandfather of my great-grandmother.
Wow. Wow. So you have a really direct line to the early leaders of the church.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you the same question I ask Elder Funder. Why did you come out?
For me, the decision was an interesting one. I always knew that I wanted to serve a mission because of the joy that the gospel brought into the life of me and my family, and how much it's changed my life and influenced me. But the difficulty for me was in deciding when to go. Because of COVID and the timing of that, it was difficult to figure out, do I go right after high school, right after this pandemic has just hit the world, or do I wait a bit? So I did end up waiting, and it's been a really good experience to just now come out when things are starting to open up and I can talk to people, and it's a work I really enjoy.
Well, good. Well, what did you do in that year that you waited?
I attended university. I studied chemistry.
Aha! You're going to be a brilliant scientist like I am, or was, or thought I was. Okay, well, what we want to do now for you is a song that was written in 1846. It is called Come, Come, Ye Saints. just like you might have heard out on the plains in 1847.